491. The world feels dusty when we stop to die. We want the dew then, honors taste dry. Flags vex a dying face, but the least fan, stirred by a friend's hand, cools like the rain. Mine be the ministry, when thy thirst comes, dews of Thessaly to fetch, and Hybla balms. 492. To offer brave assistance to lives that stand alone, when one has failed to stop them, is human but divine. To lend an ample sinew unto a nameless man, whose homely benediction no other stopped to earn. 493. When I hoped, I recollect just the place I stood, at a window facing west, roughest air was good. Not a sleet could bite me, not a frost could cool. Hope it was that kept me warm, not merino shawl. When I feared, I recollect just the day it was. Worlds were lying out to sun, yet how nature froze. Icicles upon my soul, prickled blue and cool. Bird went praising everywhere, only me was still. And the day that I despaired, this if I forget, Nature will that it be night after sun has set. Darkness intersect her face, and put out her eye. Nature hesitate before memory and I. 494. The wind didn't come from the orchard today, further than that, nor stop to play with the hay, nor threaten a hat. He's a transitive fellow, very, rely on that. If he leave a burr at the door, we know he has climbed a fir, but the fir is where, declare, were you ever there? If he brings odors of clovers, and that his business, not ours, then he has been with the mowers, whetting away the hours to sweet pauses of hay, his way of a June day. If he flings sand and pebble, little boys' hats and stubble, with an occasional steeple, and a horse, get out of the way, I say. Who'd be the fool to stay? Would you say? Would you be the fool to stay? 495. The day undressed herself. Her garter was of gold, her petticoat of purple plain, her dimities as old. Exactly as the world, and yet the newest star enrolled upon the hemisphere, be wrinkled much as her. Too near to God to pray, too near to heaven to fear. The Lady of the Occident retired without a care. Her candle so expire, the flickering be seen on ball of mast in Bosphorus, and dome and window pane. 496. The beggar lad dies early, it's somewhat in the cold, and somewhat in the trudging feet, and haply in the world. The cruel, smiling, bowing world, that took its cambric way, nor heard the timid cry for bread, sweet Lady Charity. Among redeemed children, if trudging feet may stand, the barefoot time forgotten so, the sleet, the bitter wind. The childish hands that teased for pence, lifted adoring then, to him whom never ragged coat did supplicate in vain. 497. One and one are one, two be finished using, well enough for schools, but for minor choosing. Life just or death, or the everlasting. More would be too vast for the soul's comprising. 498. I lived on dread. To those who know the stimulus there is in danger, other impetus is numb and vitalless. As 'twere a spur upon the soul, a fear will urge it where to go without the spectre's aid, were challenging despair. 1863. 499. Best gains must have the losses test to constitute them gains. 500. Not revelation, 'tis that waits, but our unfurnished eyes. 501. The robin is the one that interrupt the morn, with hurried few express reports when March is scarcely on. The robin is the one that overflow the noon with her cherubic quantity in April but begun. The robin is the one that speechless from her nest submit that home and certainty and sanctity are best. 502. Life is death were lengthy at, death the hinge to life. 503. Will pass without the parting, so to spare certificate of absence, deeming where I left her I could find her. If I tried this way, I keep from missing those that died. 504. The birds begun at 4 o'clock, their period for dawn, a music numerous as space, but neighboring as noon. I could not count their force, their numbers did expend, as brook by brook bestows itself to multiply the pond. The listener was not, except occasional man, in homely industry arrayed to overtake the morn. Nor was it for applause that I could ascertain, but independent ecstasy of universe and men. By 6 the flood had done, no tumult had there been of dressing or departure, yet all the band was gone. The sun engrossed the east, the day resumed the world, the miracle that introduced, forgotten as fulfilled. 505. They have a little odor, that to me is meeter, nay, 'tis posy, and spiciest at fading celebrate, a habit of a laureate. 506. Light is sufficient to itself, if others want to see. It can be had on window panes some hours in the day, but not for compensation. It holds as large a glow to squirrel in the Himalaya precisely as to you. 507. Like mighty footlights burned the red at bases of the trees, the far theatricals of the day exhibiting to these. 'Twas universe that did applaud, while chiefest of the crowd, enabled by his royal dress, myself distinguished God. 508. A pit, but heaven over it, and heaven beside, and heaven abroad, and yet a pit, with heaven over it. To stir would be to slip, to look would be to drop, to dream to sap the prop that holds my chances up. Ah, pit, with heaven over it. The depth is all my thought. I dare not ask my feet. 'Twould start us where we sit, so straight you'd scarce suspect it was a pit, with fathoms under it. Its circuit just the same, whose doom to whom 'twould start them. We could tremble, but since we got a bomb, and held it in our bosom. Nay, hold it, it is calm. 509. A curious cloud surprised the sky. 'Twas like a sheet with horns. The sheet was blue, the antlers gray. It almost touched the lawns. So low it leaned, then statelier drew, and trailed like robes away. A queen adown a satin aisle had not the majesty. 510. Of Brussels it was not, of Kidderminster, nay. The winds did buy it of the woods, they sold it unto me. It was a gentle price, the poorest could afford. It was within the frugal purse of beggar or of bird. Of small and spicy yards, in hue a mellow dun, of sunshine and of sere composed, but principally of sun. The wind unrolled it fast, and spread it on the ground. Upholsterer of the pines is he, upholsterer of the pond. 511. He found my being, set it up, adjusted it into place, then carved his name upon it, and bade it to the east. Be faithful in his absence, and he would come again, with equipage of amber, that time to take it home.